Greetings, beloved ones. This is Seth. It is a pleasure to once again be invited into your space to allow us to provide a higher perspective. When we look down at your planet, we can see all of the individual paths that you walk. We can see the twists and turns, and we can see the probabilities. When we look into your future, we are looking at the path you are on and the most likely trajectory of your life. Yet you retain free will. This has been covered by this channel before, but we wish to now say that in your walk, you would all do well to remember to respect the path that your fellow family walk upon, your fellow brothers, your fellow sisters, your fellow cousins. Everyone has a path to walk. Theirs is their own, with its own unique challenges, its own unique twists and turns, its own valleys and its own peaks. This means that you should not be jealous of another's path because you see them high up on a peak and you think, well, here I am in this valley. When do I get to reach my peak? Rest assured, you have one of your own. And it will not look like that person's. Just as their valley will not look like yours either. So do not be jealous of another's highs, and try not to judge another's lows. Their valley may be very different from yours. Lastly, in this brief message, and we want you to take every word of this to heart, respect the choices each person makes on their path, even when you do not agree with those choices. Their sovereignty is just as sacred, just as important for their development as yours. When they approach a fork in the road, they have to choose whether to take the high road or the low road, whether to go left, to go right, to take a switchback. The choice, however, is always theirs. You may advise only so long as you learn to respect their final decision. There is at this moment, we know, much division as the older structures are beginning to crumble. Everyone has an idea of how the world ought to be. This is part of your construct, part of your understanding of the way things are. However, you are looking at things from your own perspective on your own path. If there is a way you believe the world ought to be, then incorporate that into the path that you have chosen to follow. It is prideful and arrogant to presume to impose your ideas about how the world ought to be onto the path of another. Yes? This does not mean that there are not rules that everyone must follow. Part of peaceful coexistence is understanding how to tolerate and agree to disagree. But when you believe that what you have for yourself ought to be applied en masse to the entire population, you have taken a choice that is ultimately going to lead you to more trouble than it is worth. Now, as your spiritual guides, we respect your choices. You are entitled to make those choices. You are entitled to force your worldview on others. But know that it is only going to bring you and others grief, even if you believe it will accomplish much good. The good that it may accomplish, we are not saying it would not accomplish any, but it is far outweighed by the damage and grief to your own soul when you cannot convince everyone, when you cannot live in the utopia you have constructed in your mind. That will never be, for that is not the purpose of this world. Understand your own path. By all means, help others along theirs, but never violate another's sovereignty, just as you would not have them violate yours. When you learn to do this, you will find the connections between others on their paths will actually grow stronger. When you learn to respect their path, you will find that they reach out to you for assistance more often. You will find that you have a much greater influence over their decisions because they understand that you will respect what they believe. They will come to you when they are troubled because they recognize from past experience that you are someone who will always treat them with respect as an equal, as you all are. This is a brief message, but an important one. Peace be with you. Smooth journeys, but embrace every rock in the path, for it is there to teach you something vital. This was Seth. Blessings and joy. Well, that was a shorter message, but as Seth said, I think it was pretty important. It's been something he's been teaching me a lot recently. I used to be someone who thought that once I had things figured out, it was important that I convince everyone so that they can benefit from what I'd learned. There's a place for that, but not unsolicited, for sure. And I don't want to get into a lecture here. But I am working to incorporate that into my own life. And it's interesting to see what Seth said at the end, that when you do that, people actually do come to you more. So it's something I'm trying to grow as a habit in my life. And I hope that this was helpful information for you today. I had an enormous amount of trouble recording a channeling for this week. So I have taken that as a sign that it is time to strategize for new things for the channel. I am going to continue posting channeling here, but I think it was a good prompt. Something that I'm thinking about starting very soon is some guided meditations, which I will simply post, and they are yours to follow whenever you have a moment, whenever it's convenient. And I'd also like to start having some guest channels appear on Universal. I always wanted Universal to grow to a point where I could have it be more than just my voice. So that's what I'm going to be endeavoring to start to incorporate moving forward. That may mean that channelings from me become less frequent so that I can focus on lining up other people to appear. But it will never stop. Seth is here to guide you and to speak through me. I'm happy to be his voice here on this channel. And other entities and the guests that you've seen before who I've channeled, they will continue to speak as they prompt me. I always start each session asking, who would like to speak? And someone usually steps forward. Today it was Seth, and I was instructed to keep it very short and simple. So thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, which is what I think I'll shift to. I can't guarantee next week, but I will see you soon. Thank you for joining me on this journey.